Hi, this is Dan Solis at Digital Distortion. I recently completed a music video for the band Circa 5, and it involved a lot of rotoscoping. Normally this is something I would have done in After Effects, but and literally as I was starting the project, just a few days into it, Apple released Final Cut 11, and that introduced a very, very useful new AI-powered tool called Magnetic Mask, which is basically a really high quality rotoscoping tool built directly into Final Cut. As I said, I'm normally an After Effects user, and a job like this, I initially started doing some of the first shots in After Effects, and also tracking backgrounds in behind the performance shots. But for this, I did a few tests with Magnetic Mask in Final Cut, and it was very effective. Well, good enough certainly to use for this. And this video needed to be turned around fast because we had a pretty tight deadline and also a very limited budget as well. So I didn't want to I couldn't afford to spend weeks and weeks on it. It was definitely something that had to get out the door as quickly as possible. So you can see on the screen right now in Final Cut, we have set one of the performance shots in the video, and this is with the color grading and other effects applied to it. It's got a lot of Red Giant plugins applied to it, Misfire and Magic Bullet looks to give that kind of really grungy film look. That's obviously to give it a certain sort of mood, but also, to be honest, it's also to hide some of the rough edges around some of the compositing. And it's a classic technique of low budget music videos, which I've used for like decades now. When you don't have enormous budgets and you can't afford to do absolute pristine fidelity, you can sometimes just dirty up the image, and it kind of lets you get away with quite a lot of stuff, and kind of looks cool as well. What I wanted to do here though was sort of just walk through all the stuff I learned, because I did 43 compositing shots for this video of the band in about just over a week, which is quite a lot. If you've ever done any rotoscoping, it's quite a lot of shots. And I wanted to just show like the process in this, so if you do use Final Cut, you know how to do it. And also how to use tracking features in Final Cut. So I don't think many people actually really ever use them that often. They're pretty powerful. They're pretty good. So this is the finished shot. I'm now going to go in and I'm just going to disable the color it looks. So if I'm going to disable those quickly. Here we go. So you can see it looks very different without the grade and everything else. So this is like with the masking and the tracking applied. So if I scrub through, you can see it. Now I put a copy of the original pre-effects clip here. I'm going to turn it on. So now you can see this is actually what the source footage looked like. It was, fairly minimal and fairly, simple. It wasn't beautifully lit or anything like that. And there's a lot of camera movement as well. So to route around this, the first thing you're going to do is you want to probably stick this into a compound clip, so you can do all your work inside a much more simplified timeline rather than this one, which is a pretty complex one. So that's the whole timeline there. I'm going to zoom in, select that, and then we're just going to select this clip, and we're going to just make a compound clip. Create a compound clip there. I could have used a keyboard shortcut, but I thought it'd be more fun to see it pop up on screen. The keyboard shortcut is Alt-G. So I'm going to call this Demo MM Magnetic Mask Shot. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to double click on this clip. And you can see it play through as always. So what we want to do is Magnetic Mask. It does have some similarities to the roto brush in After Effects in that it's directional. So when you start doing stuff, it will analyze forwards from a point where you put down your keys and your selections, and then backwards. So I'm going to show you how it works. Basically, first things first, we're going to choose a good representative clip, find a good middle point, maybe like that's pretty good. Do that. Do that one. Then I'm going to select the Magic Mask. Now you can drag the effect, drag it directly onto the panel here, and actually onto the window here, the viewer. And then it will put down the first pin, and you can see it. What you'll see immediately is that it's, well, in this case, you can actually change the color of it, because right now this has got red elements behind it, and that makes it a bit harder to see. So I'm going to change it to a much more unique scene color used in the scene, like this. And then what we want to do is put in a few more points, little green pins. This is from this tool up here. And you can put down red pins using the Alt key, which is there. If you hold down the Alt key, which is up here. I'll put a few more green pins. One more down here. One more here. And I'll put down some red ones. So one there, one there, one there. And maybe just a few more for luck, just around the edges, and put one up in his head. It kind of like, basically each of these pins sort of almost exerts like a field of influence, so it sometimes can be useful to put some extra ones in there just to guide it. There might be some small holes in the, undo that. There might be some small holes in the map which you can't easily see, but that looks pretty good to me. I think that's pretty good. I think there might be a tiny bit there. Yes, there was. There's a tiny bit of his arm there. So what you do here is you put down a key. And okay, let's put down a key. I don't know why the yellow dot isn't directly over the point. That yellow dot there is basically showing that that's a point where you've actually put down markers. You've actually laid down these little green or red keys. But if you go forward, it hasn't actually got a mask for the rest of it. So you have to go back to this frame, and then what you do. Now you can click Analyze, and it will do it both ways. Now you can try doing that. It may work. It may not, but we'll just give it a go and see how well it works. It's pretty good, but it will definitely not be perfect, particularly if the background's really busy like this. It may struggle a bit in places. But what you can see, as I said, it's going forwards right now. It's going forwards to the end, and then it's going backwards. So, very important thing is though, remember where your keyframe mark thing is, your first thing. When you start making changes to this, it's a good idea to work in a direction away from this yellow keyframe. So if you want to go changes, if something's not working, so let's go forward a frame. See, that's not great. That one there, you can see there's the mask is starting to fail here. There's some the green is fading away there. So if I put another key in there, and there, and I put in a red there. It's important to put the reds in as well as the greens, because adding green doesn't just add. Putting the reds in can also help it know. What you're doing is you're giving it guides to know the difference between foreground and background. So you're kind of like trying to teach the AI, is saying to it like, this is background, this is foreground, and sometimes it forgets, and sometimes by doing this, you'll help it remember. Yeah, and this is all looking pretty good, but I think that's better now. Now I've done that, I think it's working. So what you can do then, and this is the really important, if you click Analyze, what it's going to do then is it will do just what it did before. It will go forwards and then it will go backwards. The problem if you do that is it will actually remove all those keys, all those points you did there, and it will literally just do it from this frame, which isn't what you want necessarily. It will wipe out all that, and it might actually make mistakes as well. If you've done lots of little keys down here, or if you've done lots of individual frame tweaks, it will just obliterate all that. So what you want to do is you'll go back here and you'll want to get this frame looking as good as possible. It's lost a bit of the arm there, but we will lose a bit of that there. Perfect. So now there's actually a little bit of arm there, which you may or may not see. In fact, what I should do is I will drag this down so we can make it a bit bigger on screen. This is the benefit again of having it in a little compound clip, because you've got a much more simplified timeline. Yeah, now you can see it a bit more. There's actually a bit of his arm there coming in underneath it. Yeah, that's good. And I think everything else is looking, oh, there's a bit there which is a bit bad. So let's put that in. Yep, that's filled it in. And I'll just put, for good measure, every time I put down a green pin, I'll put down a red pin too, to sort of just, again, make it very clear what's foreground and what's background. And it's done a pretty good job. I think there's a tiny bit under his arm there that could probably do with. Okay, that's good. I think that's pretty good now. Now this is what we're going to do. Instead of clicking Analyze again, we're going to analyze forwards. And this, yeah, you can analyze by one frame or you can do the whole thing. But I might as well analyze as much as it can. And then what I'll do is I will keep going forward until it basically messes up. Then I will do some tweaks, fix it, and then get it to analyze forwards. So let's do this. It's doing a really good job. I think there'll be, with all this movement and swaying, I'm sure it will break at some point. And I think I can see a few pops there already where it's not quite worked. So what we'll do is we'll just go here and we'll just play here. I mean, it's really good. It's so impressive. It's an amazing bit of technology. The quality of the mat it generates is just like, it's kind of insane, really. I mean, I can actually show you what the mats look like by going up here. If you click on View Masks up here, you can see like it's even getting all this fine hair detail, even against really detailed backgrounds. It's kind of amazing. I mean, like the roto brush in After Effects would just really struggle with this. No, I mean it's kind of magical, this, and it's so much better, and it's so fast as well. The analysis is, I'm running this on an Intel iMac, like the last generation Intel iMac. Admittedly, a fairly high spec one. It's got like 10 an i9 with 10 cores and a 16 gig GPU, and it's got 128 gigs of RAM. So it's a fairly meaty machine, but it's not Apple Silicon. And I imagine with Apple Silicon, this would be even more blazingly fast. But even so, I mean, it just absolutely, in terms of performance, it absolutely creams the roto brush in After Effects, and also the quality is much higher. So I'm going to scrub through this frame by frame, actually, which is the best way to do this if you want to get like absolute perfect results. So go through, look around, see if anything obviously goes wrong. You have to look for things like reflections sometimes fool it. So, see, now this is interesting. So one thing I haven't talked about so far is the marching ants, as you know, like the selection sort of thing around the edge. That kind of shows the edges of what it's trying to select. Now, what you can see here is it's trying to select, it's picking up something, or it thinks it's picking up something from the foreground here, and it really doesn't want to have anything there at all. Now, you could put down a red pin, but that might cause more grief than you want, because if you do that, it might start removing other bits, and then you've got like rejig the hair and everything. So what I would probably recommend there is to use this tool. These two tools here are actually brush tools for actually manually painting over bits of mask. So if I select the minus tool, and you can change the scale of it here. I don't know if there's a keyboard modifier to toggle the scale of this. It would be really useful if there was. Then you can just paint over this like that. And now it's gone away. Very handy. And what's really useful is by doing this, when it goes forwards and starts analysing forwards from here, it will use the mask in its current state to do its analysis. So now, if that's all correct, I'm going to look really closely at it. I don't think I can see anything obviously wrong. There might be a bit of weirdness going on there. But as I said, this thing does actually, I mean, it's done a really good job. There is this black sort of square thing behind the hair causes a lot of problems. I mean, like any sort of high contrast detail might do, particularly when you're dealing with fine hair in front. Even with that though, it's still pretty clever about knowing what's actual hair and what isn't. It's kind of awesome. Right, so we're going to track forwards again. Okay, churning through it all. Amazing. I love how it just got that little one strand of hair there. Okay, now we can see definitely the end of it. The mask, I'm going to scrub through using the cursor keys. This is looking pretty good here. Oh, it's starting to lose a bit of something there. There's a small amount there it's losing. We could fix that. I mean, let's try it. Let's add a little pin. Come on, you want to get that one there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's get that. That's pretty good. And I could put like a red one on the other side, maybe. It's a bit dangerous. I mean, sometimes you need to do this and then undo it immediately if it doesn't work. Yep, that's done a pretty good job. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I will again analyze it forwards. Okay, you can definitely see towards the end it loses it a bit. So let's go through it frame by frame. Ooh, there's something going on down there actually. It might be better there just for me to manually paint it. Like that, because it's so close. Oh, there's a bit there as well. Let's go. Let's put another pin in there. It's lost that bit there. Okay, and then we want to lose here. And a bit down here as well. Good. And a bit there. Cool, that's done a good job. Okay, good final cut. Okay, now let's go forwards again. I mean, you could just do a frame, just to see if it does it. 1 frame, 2 frames. Let's turn that off again. Looking pretty. Oop, it's doing something there. It's adding, it's doing something bad there. So let's quickly do. Let's negative that. What that is, it's getting a bit confused by that thing there, whatever it is. And I might use the mask thing to paint out whatever it's doing there. It's sort of seeing a bit of gump there, what it's not meant to be picking up. I'm just going to paint that out, yeah. Just, again, the marching ants will give you a good idea of whether or not your roto is actually good or not. I mean, obviously you can see it's far outside the edge of a hair here. That's because the hair's got loads of transparency, so there's probably loads of like almost transparent pixels around here which you can't see. So yeah, don't really worry if your thing goes way far around the edges. That's fine, particularly if it's like round fine detail. What you should worry about is if like marching ants start appearing outside that, like on other things, because that might mean that it's getting confused and thinks that like another object in the scene is the foreground you want to isolate. So we shall go forward another frame. That's looking good. Let's just go try analysing as much as we can. Let's click this forward. Analyse forwards again. Oh, see now it's picking up that guy over there, which we didn't want it to do. So let's go forward a few frames. Forward. Oh, see now this has actually gone wrong already. It's missed out the head of the guitar here. So let's get that in there. Oh, see, it's got it straight away. Very good. I'll put one over here. Yes. And you see, it's interesting. Like, it's sort of confusing with this as well now. Let's get rid of him as well. Good. A few extra ones to help guide it. This is definitely background. You do not want to put this into our mask final cut, and you've done a very good job otherwise. So I'm going to leave you doing that. Let's go forwards. Okay, now we can see there's a few frames at the end where the thing goes wrong, but it's pretty good up to that point. Forward, forward, forward. Okay, there's a few bits there where I think a bit of the symbol behind is confusing it, so we'll remove that as well. We'll just go, let's put you. See, that's confusing it as well. But to again, like help it remember what's foreground and backgrounds, we'll put a green pin in here. That's better. And probably one down here just to make sure that it knows, and then put another red one there. Perfect, that's good. Now we're just really making it understand. This is background. This is background. This is foreground. Definitely. Good stuff. Okay, and let's just go forward a frame, make sure it's got it right. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, it's all looking good. It's looking really good. It's done. So now we've actually really sort of made it very clear what is background and foreground. It's sort of remembered it onto the next frames. It's really really good. It's really good. And it said the fact it generates really nice transparency and alpha and stuff around the edges of things is kind of magical. Okay, and I think my imagination oh no, so at the end we can see there are a few frames where the thing is going a bit wrong. So what we'll do is, just when we get to here, I think there might be some small holes appearing here. I shall try putting another green in there. And then we'll go forward. No, it's still doing it's better. Boom. Let's put some, again, put a background one behind it. And that's background. See, it's sort of recognizing it, and put one there. That's definitely foreground, and that's foreground. That's background. Okay, that's good. We're kind of just really making it clear. This is background, this is foreground. Good. We'll go forward a frame. Yes. Oh, there's some stuff over this side as well. Let's go back one frame, did I? Yeah, you're pretty good. I might, you know what, just sometimes it actually helps put down some frames, the frame before it actually goes wrong. So sometimes you just want to like make it clear. That is definitely, now I'll do this again. Hopefully this will make it work. I did that and it's saying lost this, but if I put one near to it, okay, background, oh no, it didn't come back. That's annoying. You were doing so well. What I might even do is undo that. Yeah, because it's not really worth it. what I might just do is in here make sure that this is all painted. Yeah, we want no little holes appearing. This is all solid. So I've been painting with the plus on. Let's go forward. Ooh, see? Could do some more, just paint these in. It's kind of annoying. I wish there was kind of the equivalent of like in After Effects in Keylight, there's a way you can have this like extreme kind of viewing mode where you can show all 100% opacity as like pure white. Anything which is somewhere between 1 and 99% opacity is grey, and then anything else which is completely 0% opacity is black. That'd be really useful for something like this with roto, because you could really see if there's any holes or errant stuff popping into your mats. Oh, and actually, interesting enough, do you know what's interesting here is I just realised this one has lost the end of a guitar. Oop. Let's do that. I did something bad there. Let's put a red one in here. Yeah, that's it. That seemed to fit. I just wanted to make sure that the end of that little bit down there was captured. So let's go put. That's better. I noticed that you can see a few little weird lines, and like sometimes the lines of influence sort of overlap, and you get these sort of weird contours and creases almost in your mat. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go forward frame now. If I go forward frame, you'll notice down here we'll probably lose that keyframing mask there, which is fine. Yep, you do. You lose all. You lose all your points you put down, but hopefully your mat is better, so it doesn't matter. Okay, it's pretty good. Oh, and I need to remove that because it's put a big hole in there. It definitely wasn't. It wasn't. Oh, it was in here as well. Oh, okay. Oh, you little bugger. Okay, well. Okay, it's being silly. Put these in. Oh wow, you really don't like it, do you? You've just gone absolutely crazy. Sometimes it does this. I don't know, sometimes it's better here to keep undoing it until you make it work. Oh, I might undo it. Okay, let's try putting it in. Okay, that's better. And we'll just make it really happy. We'll put in some more green points just in case. Okay. Let's try that again. Let's go forward a frame. Boom. That's much better. So that fixed the issue. We're going to just put another one in here. Yeah, that's good. That seems to fix the issue. Go forward a frame. And I'm kind of being, I said, I'm being quite, with this, I mean, with this particular video, I mean, the rotoscoping, you got away with quite a lot because they were quick shots, and there was quite a sort of like fair little like film grain over it. So you could get away with like a few tiny little holes in your mat sometimes. It looked like, you know, you can make it look like light glints and stuff, but this is pretty good. Oop. It's looking pretty good. I mean, I could probably just analyze it to the end. Are you gonna work? No, it didn't work. There's a few more I need to do. Okay, let's go forward. You can see it's actually sort of stopping on it as I go through each frame. Okay, that needs another one. Boom, in the middle. Let's go on, get some more. See if this works. I don't want it to break everything else. Red. Come on, don't be. Ah, see, now it's been really obstinate. There's a point where you can just like adding more green points just doesn't seem to work. I guess if this happens, you can, at the end of the day, you can just manually paint it in. Although it's, you know, it's not the easiest thing to see sometimes. Zoom, unfortunately, like zooming and panning in Final Cut is a lot clunkier than it is in After Effects, sadly. But it's not bad. Okay. Anyway, that's good. Let's go. Most important thing is you have a good alpha, because it's basically what it uses. It uses the previous matte frame to gently like know where it's tracking. So let's go next frame. Good. Okay, let's paint you in. And junk. Yeah, sort of like, I don't know why it doesn't see these bits here so well. But everything else looks like it's rotoed pretty well. Forward a frame. That's looking pretty good now. And again. Oh, it's looking pretty good now. I could just almost do it to the end. I'm sure I could. In fact, it is. So that's all of that guy frame. And that's how you do it, basically. And we've now. Oh, and the other thing I haven't done is we did this from the start, but we didn't do it backwards. I don't know how good the map going back from the first keyframe. Oh, and incidentally, to go backward and forward 3 keyframes, you do these frames up here. It just jumps forward and back. So basically, with each of these, again, I went forward until it failed, put down more things, and then analysed forward until it messed up again. Then stopped and did some more changes, and then analysed forward. It's pretty much how you do it. Let's go back to here. And what we need to do is to step backwards and check. Actually, you can see actually in the first frame here, it did actually make a mistake. It failed. His arm disappeared. So I'm just going to put another, paint this in. There's a bit here missing. Paint that in. Perfect. That's great. That all looks good. So this time, however, we're not analysing both. Obviously, we want to analyse only this direction. Otherwise, we'll wipe out all the work we've done here. It's kind of it's quite, actually, I suppose it's kind of, you could definitely maybe improve that in Final Cut, or at least warn you before it overwrites work you've already done. Because if it overwrites matte work you've already done in one direction, it's very annoying. So let's just go backwards and analyse. Backwards. So it definitely has issues with the back of his arm. I think it's because his arm is almost the same colour as the wall behind, so it really confuses it. So we'll go back 1 frame, and I will just paint in a bit of you. Yeah, you're looking pretty good. And we'll analyse backwards 1 frame. Yeah, it's just being really annoying. Might just put in some of these dots. Do one in there quickly. Yeah, it's not really doing it well enough. It really doesn't like that wall being the same colour. Well, I'm just going to guess it by eye. Up, and go back 1. That seems to be working pretty well now. Nope. No, it didn't. There was definitely something going on here. So let me just do another one. See, now it's getting, see, it's really confusing that wall behind it. So let's put a red one in there so it knows that's definitely wall. See, it's breaking it here now. So we'll put another key in here, then put a red one on the opposite next to it, knowing it's showing it. That's background. See, yes, again, it's nice and tight now. And that one needs to be no. That's background. And put a green one on this to say that's foreground. That's background. It's extremely annoying. Why are you being so irritating? Right, let's do a bit of manual. Just as best you can. Okay. And I might paint a little bit more just on that bit of the arm there. And let's go back a frame. I mean, it's pretty good. Let's do a bit more. I'm just going to paint a bit more of this in here. I mean, to be honest, I can barely see the difference between his arm and the background there. So no, I'm not surprised the AI can't see it either. Let's go forward 1 more. Still doing it a bit. Just a bit more of that. And another frame. Oh, you are being very annoying. Right, let's do another one of this. He really does not like his arm. Okay, we'll just do that for now. Good. Now let's put one up here. Okay, that's pretty good. Right, and one up there in the stuff which is meant to be background. That's pretty good. Oh, see, now we're cocking up this. Good. Foreground, background. Good. Oh, and definitely we're getting a bit of a background tinting in there as well. Foreground. You can see how when I put one either side, it sort of snaps a nice sharp edge there because it's becoming much more aware of what is foreground. And it should be losing a bit there as well. See, that's good. And I'll put a bit more here. Cool. That's looking pretty good now. Back a frame. Yay. Oh, there's a little bit of nonsense going on here. So again, marching ants. Oh, that's actually his hair. Oh my god, it's so clever. I might leave it actually. That's pretty quite cool. He's actually picking up an individual strand of hair moving, which is awesome. Okay, back a frame. Back a frame. Back a frame. See, it's good. It's got even really fine hair. I bet this is... Yeah, it's got really fine hair detail in there. Absolutely amazing. There's something weird going on down here. That might not be right. That is not right. Oh, yeah, it missed. Somehow it got to here and it really got confused. So I'm going to give it a bit of a hand here. I'm going to paint in a bit of... Oh, see, it's gone... When I paint in here, you can see actually this mask is not as good as it could be. It's not 100% opacity. So what we're going to do is put in some extra. That's better. You can see it was actually almost fading out the whole mask there, which is bad. So do this, do this, do that. That's all good. Put some of these in. Good. Okay, that's definitely good now. I hope that doesn't mean the one before it was broken. I think it's okay. Right, back a frame. Groovy. Ah, no, not so groovy. It's lost a bit here, so I'm going to go red. Foreground. Yes, it's like magical. We can see it. I said I can't even see these things half the time. So the fact it can is just... It's kind of stupendous. Okay. It's a bit sort of messy. Come on. Cool. And it's all looking good. I'm back a frame. Oh, that's it. That's the last of it. So that's the whole thing rotoed. Now, you can also roto the drum in background. I would recommend not doing too many people at once or too many different elements at once in one roto mask. You can do multiple things, but it's much more difficult to keep track of stuff, and it's much harder to just get something right. This guy looks right. The roto on the main guitarist looks pretty spot on now. And what you can do is if I turn off magnet, if I go done, you can see what it looks like. It's pretty good. I mean, it's got a bit of a background, but that's because the background's incredibly busy, and removing that is challenging. You can actually sort of do it by there's a feather control, which if you do negative, it kind of works as both a choke and a feather at the same time, which is a bit weird. It's a shame it doesn't have separate feathering and choke controls. So when you do this, it actually gets smaller and also blurs it. And if you do it this way, it gets bigger and blurs it, which I said it's not a true feather. It's more like a combined feather choke for the mat. But if you do this down, it does quite a good job of just like removing stuff, particularly if you've got a mask where it's clearly got stuff you don't want to have featured. If you want to like make it remove some of the transparent elements, that's pretty good. There's a bit of stuff there, but to be honest, in my video, you don't notice that because I'm going to cover it all in film effects. Cool. To go back to editing it though, all you have to do is just click on the name of the mask. So click here and you're back in that mode again. To add an extra thing to mask in there, you just need to click the little button up here. So you do that, and then you can just click, say, on this drummer. Pretty good. And maybe his little drumstick. And again, put down a couple of negative things. That's good. That's great. I'll put one on this side. Just do that. That's pretty good. And again, while you're doing this stuff, all these analyze tools only affect the mask you're currently on. So as long as you don't do anything stupid, if you leave that alone, it won't be affected by any of the other work you do. So again, I'm just going to analyze quickly, see how well it does it. Don't worry, ignore the strange error message that came up there. I'm sure it's fine. I bet it's just a slightly confused thing. You can see it's doing it. Yeah, sometimes this comes up. It might be a bug in Final Cut. It's like the first version of a plugin of this version, so I'm sure there's a few errors. But what I've actually found is when it comes up with that error for me, and again, it may not happen if you have an Apple Silicon Mac. Maybe it's just because I'm running an Intel Mac. It still works usually. So if I scrub through, that's really cool. See, like look, it's even it's rotating his little drumstick really well. It's great. Oh, and it's going a bit wrong there. It's going a bit wrong there. So we'll just go. Let's go to the first frame. It works really well this side, I think. But there's a bit of glitchiness. I won't spend too much more time on the second one because you know how to fix it now because I've shown you. But what I'll just do is I'll just put a few extra bits in. Cool. And and go forward. Yep, it's all working pretty well now. You can go through frame by frame, or you said you can just analyze forward until it breaks. Analyze forward. I see there's a glitch there. I mean, I could stop it, but it's so fast, why bother? Let's just go forward a few frames, and then poof, bam! It went absolutely crazy. Oh, see, scrubby timeline, get off me. Okay, it can be very annoying. Final cut, stop annoying me. Here we go. See, that's weird. It's like it's gone. That is my imagination. Was it faded there? Yeah, it was. It wasn't quite. It was fading out the mask there. Bit annoying. Let's go. That's pretty good. I'm just fixing that frame. So this frame, let's put one in there. We'll do it the frame before. And then go frame forward, analyze. Ah, see, by putting the extra green dot the frame before, it stopped it doing its weird error following frame. So we shall do another one. Yeah, this is all looking pretty good. You're just basically trying to be a nice, helpful servant for the AI here, telling it what's good and what's bad. You need to sort of just give it feedback. That's pretty good. I might try doing it to the end. I'll do it to the end. Is it going to work? Oh yeah, it probably is. Yeah, you did it to the end. Cool. So it's done all of it to the end now. Okay, so that went that way, and I can go back and do the same thing here. Just go back, see how it frames it. Yeah, so it goes horribly wrong there. So let's put another frame in there. Don't go analyze backwards. Yeah, it's good. Just putting the green dot the frame before helps it. This bit with the guitar going in front of him, it will no doubt horribly confuse it. And I see it has actually, because what's happened here is we've now lost his little drumstick on that frame. But I am going to okay, that's good. Okay, that's done it pretty well. Let's go analyze backwards a frame. Yay, it's good. I mean, I'm sure it's going to go horribly wrong in a second. I always think these things do. Oh, I was going to basically, just to make it sure, but I'm going to put like an extra thing there and go analyze backwards. Let's see what it does. Pretty good. Again, it's losing the drumstick. I could hit stop, but I won't. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, let's put in the drumstick again. Good. Analyze. I think now we've done that, it's definitely working better. I'll put one in here as well. Put in that. That's good. You can see there's a few little holes appearing. Stop this. I don't want to track that thing inside. I may be making it worse here. I describe this a bit as being like that scene in Father Ted where they're trying to fix a car with a hammer, and just every time they try and hammer out a dent, it makes it worse. But I think that's pretty good. So let's just go forward, back one frame. Yeah, pretty good. I think it may be going a bit screwy here, so maybe I should paint out some of this. See? Better. Better. Much better. Analyze one frame. I mean, once the guitar goes away from his head, it'll probably get a lot more reliable as well. Let's just do this bit underneath here again. Oof. And just try tracking back again. Oh, good enough. Yes. I think the dancing ants are get out of sync really how it's rendering, but that's fine. Okay, that's done a pretty good job, I think. Okay, it's good enough. Good enough for purposes of this. You could refine it more, but I'm sure you're just going to get bored watching me do that. So I'm going to click done, We've got two mats there. I haven't rotated the background drum kit or anything like that. You can do that with magnetic mask. You could also do it by tracking it and using a custom solid, and then use a track to actually position it, and then just do an animated draw mask as well to paint out things. That would be a different tutorial. That's much more complicated to show. I won't show that. But just using roto mask, using the magnetic mask, that's how you do it. So this is all pretty groovy. Now for the backgrounds, I'll show you how I did those. For the backgrounds, to actually create the backgrounds, I took a screen, like a still of the environment, the actual studio environment, and I kind of wanted to make it look like a train carriage. So I got rid of anything in the scene. So here we are in Photoshop. I've actually got it here. So this is actually a still from one of the studio camera angles, and I figured, well, there's like some wood on the walls and these little lights. These could potentially, theoretically, be something on a train carriage. So I kept those. I just painted out everything else. So I used Photoshop's generative fill tools to basically do that. And this is what it looked like. So you can see before, after. Before, after. And I've just basically painted out everything that's not relevant to being a train. And it's added in these nice windows. I then took this image and I fed it into Runway ML Gen 3 and used it to generate, as like a starting point image, to generate AI generated video to create, like, so I could create movement behind the windows of the train, and it worked pretty well. I mean, its resolution's obviously a bit low, but again, the final thing is going to be put through loads of old film effects and you can get away with a lot. It won't hold up for super high resolution like commercials yet, but it's pretty good. I'm sure in the future it will get much better. So I've got the rendered versions of these, the AI moving versions of this shot in my Final Cut project. So let's just go back to Final Cut. We got this, and what I'll do is I'll just find that. I've got them here. You've got these different versions, low angle, locked, and these all have, you can see I've got like moving. This is all animated just with Runway Gen 3. It's pretty cool. And I did a reproject it. I actually used Cinema 4D to reproject it to create like a lower angle, which might be good for this one actually. Let's have a look. What does this look like again? It's like this. I think it's more, this one's probably better actually. Let's use a standard angle. So let's just drag this underneath, and I'm just going to quickly go, just blade that. I just want to keep it to the length of this section. Now obviously, yeah, see, it's not. Oh, there's some issues with transparency. I can see that. Oh, I could fix those. Well, this is when you have to go back through and fix stuff, and I don't really want to do that right now. Just pretend it's all good. This is why sometimes when you're working, it's a good idea to toggle the view mask thing up there so you can see whether or not it's actually doing strange stuff. You could either go through that frame by frame and just paint in the mask again yourself, or you just have to analyze it and go forward, and you can just analyze if it's only a few frames. You can fix it by going forward, just using analyze a few frames. So that one's good. I mean, chance I could fix it. Let's go and fix it quickly. I'll show you how to fix this. So we're going to select that layer, go select the magnetic mask, then we're going to go here. See how it goes. You can actually see the color tint change. That's your clue that it's not working. So what I'll do here is I'll just analyze back one frame. Ah, now it's working, I think. See again, analyze back one frame. Ooh, that may have gone a bit funny. Let's just add. Yeah, that's giving it a bit more. You can tell, it's weird, you can sort of see, but it's not completely perfect. That's doing a pretty good job. Take that off. Good. And that is not his background, and that we want to get back in there. That's his side of his body, and that is good. And that's background. That's background. Good. And that's background. Okay, that's good. Again, what we're doing is we're not clicking this to analyze all the way forwards, always backwards. If we do, we're going to wipe out all those keyframes we created there. So we don't want to do that. So we're just going to go back a frame. Pretty good. Need to get that. Oh, actually, I missed that a little bit there. Let's do that in there now. And that's pretty good. Welding there. Pretty good. Let's go back a frame. Boom. And I think we're going to be good then. Let's have a look at view masks. Yeah, it's looking pretty solid. I think that may have done it now. Check he hasn't. Oh, no, there's a frame of weird pop. So definitely going horribly wrong there. So let's paint you back in there. Boom. Just needs a few frames. Good. And then back a frame. Back a frame. Back a frame. Good. Okay, that's all good. I think that's good. That's hopefully fixed the big issue we had in those. There's a few other frames where it's doing it too, but that's the worst bit. You've seen how to fix it now. You just have to go through and just add extra green pins, analyze for the frame, just make until it basically is 100% solid. The feathering doesn't help actually. If I didn't have a feather turned up, for those bits where it's going faint, I bet if I turned the feather back up again to 0, yeah, it does sort of help it. I'll do it -50. Anyway, that would be, if I was doing a fully exhaustive tutorial, I would fix those two, but I'm not. This is not a finished shot. I've already done this shot. It's fine. Let's do the tracking. So to do the tracking, the first thing I'll do is I'm actually going to disable the effect, or just maybe disable all effects. Turn that off so I can actually see what I want to track. And then tracking is actually of the clip you want to track. Obviously, the actual tracking thing is actually inside. It's actually in your effects thing down the bottom. So you just go click plus, and it creates this little thing, this tracking box. So you can just, I'm going to angle this so it matches the background a bit. I'm going to resize it and make it a bit smaller. Because what I want to do is I want to track all this and maybe make it a little bit narrower. It's quite quirky. It's not as good as, like, you know, some of the better ones out there. I mean, if you were doing this in something like DaVinci Resolve or something with control, obviously tracking controls are a lot more flexible and control. Yeah, I mean, and in terms of the analysis method for this stuff, I mean, you can either use machine learning or point cloud or both. I'll try it. It's usually for this stuff, I've actually found for tracking background, sometimes point cloud on its own is better. I'll give this a go though. So now I've got it selected, you notice there's an analyze button up here. So let's try it. And let's see, did that do a good job? You can watch it. I don't think it did a great job. No, it went completely drifting horribly there. Yeah, it sort of worked and not brilliantly. So what I'll try doing instead is, let's change it from automatic to point cloud, and then just try analyze again. Yeah, point cloud is definitely a bit more reliable. Point cloud works really well for this kind of stuff, particularly if you're analysing something static in the background. Maybe the machine learning one works better if you're tracking like a complex object, like an animal or a person or a car or something like that. But just for like a flat background, and point cloud is really good. So we've got that. So that's tracked now. So let's give that object track a name. You can double click on it and go call it BG because it's tracking the BG, the background. Okay, let's turn our effects back on again. Oh, and go done here, so it hides all that stuff. Go effects back on. Okay, and then to actually apply the movement we've just tracked to the background, you just select the background layer. You bring up its motion controls by clicking here, and then by the side of tracker there's this little pop-up widgety thing, tracker options. By default, it will probably select the right thing, which is the one above, and you've got your BG thing you've just created tracker there. So now that background will now move with everything else. So yay, look at that, groovy, eh? And obviously the background is, I probably need to scale it up a bit bigger to make it work for this particular shot, or do something else clever. But it sort of works. Let's have a look. Like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's not bad. Not bad. And considering, like I said, Final Cut isn't meant to be a compositing package, it's good enough. You can get away with an awful lot. And of course, you can use the tracker to do other stuff as well. You said you can use it to track things for masking and stuff if you want to really faff. It's not as straightforward and easy as I like, but it's pretty good. Yeah, pretty groovy. Hey, look at that movement, pretty groovy. And obviously you can do your color correction and stuff on it. You can get your layer, you could go just plop on some color wheels and just, like, you know, take down the mid-tones a bit, take it down nice and dark, you know, crunch the highlights up a bit, maybe do a bit of adjust the temperature, make it a bit more yellowy because it's quite yellow. That, and maybe take the, ooh, not too green, yeah, let's take those mid-tones right down. Ooh, maybe take the global down a bit. Ooh, that's looking pretty groovy. Probably a bit too much, but yeah. Maybe make the mid-tones a bit more yellowy, a bit warmer. Ooh, look at that. Yep, a bit more orangey, ready, like that, like kind of like, oh yeah, a bit basic correction. Before, after. Yeah, sort of okay. And that's how you do it, really. That's the whole process. Once you're done, let's go from that. You just go back into your timeline and you've got your shots comp now. And then all you need to do is basically put your ridiculous grading effects on top of it, and it's put your ridiculous grading effects on top of it, and voila, it's an awesome music video or something. Fantastic. Well, I hope this has helped you understand how to use a magnetic task tool in Final Cut. It's great. I'm sure it'll only get better. I'm looking forward to getting a hefty new Apple Silicon based Mac at some point when Apple releases their new studios or even new proper Mac Pros. If you've got any other questions, then chuck them in the comments below. If you like this, send me a like or something, whatever they do in social media these days. And that's it. I'm Dan Solis. I hope you enjoyed this, and and watch the video. I hope you enjoy. I hope you like the actual music video itself. It's called Freakshow Train by Circa 5, and I'm sure you can find it on the internet. I'll put the link in the description anyway below. Okay, thanks for your time, and have a very lovely evening.